I'm RenéMarie. This is going to be, I used the word in the last show, an extraordinary show, for the first one, and it was. And this is going to be an extraordinary show as well. Thank you so much to Diane Bromberg, Stern, who does from New York Senior Resource Group. She is on our board, and I can't tell you the impact that she has made in our organization. Words cannot explain how grateful I am for all she does. And the truth is, she's not a camera person. She does not want to come on the show. She just does everything in the backdrop. So thank you so much, Diane. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is to thank Ralph. He's our co-host. I'm going to give Ralph an opportunity to share a little bit about where Stroke Warrior Radio is, and how we're all going international after this show, which is really exciting. That the information that can be provided today can really help anybody in the world. That's pretty extraordinary. That's pretty extraordinary if you stop and think about it. That it's going to touch somebody's lives in the world, and to me, we're all one. I love that song, From a Distance, From a Distance. So it's really a good song. So I want to welcome Ralph. Julie is from Colorado. She is an occupational therapist, but she also has a lot of other things that she wants to talk about. Lorraine is into real estate, and she's also her focus is for seniors, and that's really navigates towards this show, Lorraine, because as we get older, we have some sort of health, we need more help in finding a home. So it's really interesting your facet on that. And then Jason was brought from Liz. What's Liz's last name, Jason? I'm drawing a blank. You're on mute. Mango from so Jason is a physical therapist, and he's going to be sharing his input into the show, and I'm going to all give you opportunities to share exactly the business you're from and all that kind of stuff. So welcome to the show. Before we begin, I want to share with everybody our unconditional love concert, which is a milestone for me, is going to be on April 26th at the Yogi Berra Museum, which is a dream for me. We always shared on the show that, for 10 years we've been doing this show, and now it's a podcast show, but for Ralph, because he streams it over voice only. I lost train of thought, but we're doing the unconditional love concert. We had it scheduled for April 12th, but little did I know, because I was so excited to get the Yogi Berra Museum, was that's the second day of Hanukkah, not Hanukkah, Passover. And I didn't want to give anybody the challenge, they couldn't come because of Passover. I believe all faiths, so I want to honor each religion's, their respect their faiths. I was going to say that, when we've doing the show for 10 years, we always said that one day Judy Marlowe Radway, who was on our board, and she did an extraordinary job for us. She would say, I'd say, okay, Judy, tell everybody. And she would say, one day Renee's going to do a concert at Yankee Stadium, and you're all going to be invited, because it's going to be so many people that we need Yankee Stadium. This is a little wink from God in my world that's happening. We're doing it at Yogi Berra's museum. It's just an honor for me to do it. So I hope you'll purchase your tickets. It's going to only seating 100 people. So you got to buy your tickets quick, because they're gonna sell out fast. So thank you so much. I'm really, really excited about it. So we're going to begin the show. I'm going to welcome everybody. I'm going to give everybody the opportunity. But first, I'm going to let Ralph, my co-host, share a little bit about the Stroke Warrior Radio that we're all a part of, and we're streaming around the world. Go ahead, Ralph. Take it away.
About a year and a half ago, I was given the opportunity to start a internet cloud-based radio station to educate, motivate, and support stroke survivors and their families. And as of now, which I knew nothing about, plus the cognitive issues of my stroke, it took me 6 months to learn all of the software server stuff. And I'm still learning it. But we are now broadcast 24/7. 300, well, not 365, but all weekdays, and we do music on holidays. And it's a internet cloud-based radio station with shows all day with therapists, survivors, sharing other podcasts such as Renee's Stroke of Luck, 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. every day, 3 a.m. for international listeners. So, and you're all welcome to communicate afterwards, and maybe we can do an interview on Stroke Warrior Radio as well.
Yep. So thank you, Ralph. So, while the title to the show is Pathway to Transformation, right? It's 2025. Happy New Year to everybody. I should have said it initially, but I didn't. But Happy New Year to everybody. And really, what do you do at the beginning of the year? It's a fresh new year, right? Everybody's got the opportunity to make new ways for themselves, right? New goals, new objectives. And we thought that we'd bring together this panel because a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, and Julie's going to talk about other things that she's doing as well. And then Lorraine, who, she's in real estate with seniors, focusing on seniors. So, we're all in the service business, right? We all want to help people. That's really what we're doing. We want to help people. So I thought this would be a great show to start over. I'm going to let Lorraine speak first. Lorraine, tell us a little bit about how you got into the job, into the career path that you're on, and where they can reach you if they need any help.
Sure. Thank you. I love the title of the show because it is really what my life has been for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just, if someone had told me that I'd be doing today what I was doing today 2 years ago, I would say no way.
Yeah.
It's not me.
And it's really an honor that you're following your calling. You're following your calling. So how did you get there? Like, what caused you to change and to do this? And what were you doing prior to that?
Okay. I've been in real estate for the past 19 years. Basically, my husband had a home building business and I was working with him, designing, marketing, and selling new home construction. Right about the time when COVID hit, we retired the business and I was looking for something, right, where else do I want to take my real estate career? What do I want to focus on? And it was kind of bittersweet how it came to me. Unfortunately, my oldest sister came down with dementia. We were taken aback by it. There's no dementia in our family. We knew nothing about how to handle it. And then we're dealing during COVID. I was staying away from her until we got the vaccines because I was still working.
Oh my
I
gosh.
didn't want to spread anything to her. She lived like an hour from me, an hour and a half from my other oldest sibling, and she's lived by herself. So it was a lot. I went through the whole experience of, how do you help someone? How do you talk to someone? How do you get someone to let you help them? How do you convince someone what's best for them? Her dementia unfortunately progressed quickly. And she could no longer be safe, no matter how safe we made her home for her. It could no longer be safe for her to be there. She refused to let someone in the home. The good part was she went into a community and she thrived.
Wow.
Something that was totally unexpected, but she loved it.
And what an assisted living community?
Memory care community.
A memory care community. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was a total different person.
Wow.
So I'm very grateful for them and the care and the love they gave her. But when I got through with this, I said, this is the stepping stone of how I want to change I've always wanted to be community minded and always gave back to the community. But I was like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to have any other children or going through what I went through and not knowing any resources. I was just asking people right and left, who could I help? How could I help? How can I get information? And it just came from me on a Facebook group I belong to that deals with seniors. And I'm not very on Facebook very often, but someone mentioned the adult children of aging parents. And this was founded by Frances Hall down in North Carolina. She's a wonderful woman.
Wow.
We talked back and forth for a number of months, and I decided I was going to open the first chapter of that in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so with the help of 9 other dedicated professionals who deal with seniors on a day in and day out basis, we launched that chapter about 15 months ago.
Wow.
So that was our way to the purpose is to give support and education and also community. So everyone knows they're not going by themselves.
Yeah.
And so that is what I started, and I got into that. And then the more I got into it and the more I learned, I was like, all right, I want to take this to a different level to actually dealing with the senior themselves, the older the senior themselves.
Hmm.
A lot of them are living independently, but they need to know how to make a plan.
Yeah.
Not only just a
Yeah.
plan A, but a plan B, and they
Hmm.
need to be educated.
Wow.
So I got some education on that. Took me a year to complete a course to do that. And now I do a monthly seminar for them as well, educating them on all different topics, from
Wow.
real estate to funeral planning to hospice care.
Hmm.
So it's just been an amazing journey, and I'm so passionate about it because I am not a public speaker, but here I am.
But you do things if you're passionate about it, you just it another level comes to you,
Right.
another way. Like you're it's bigger than yourself, and you're not
Mhm.
doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the goodness of people, and you have a passion for it, which is so important. It's so important. Do you do it? Excuse me, one second, Ralph. Do you do it for young people that are suffering? Because I suffered a stroke at 26, age 26. So, and thank God I'm here to talk about it, but some people aren't that fortunate. So would you help, someone who is 26 and
Of
suffering?
course I would.
Okay.
Yeah. hmm
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I mean, just no. I say my seminars are both for adult children of aging parents and the seniors themselves, but anyone is welcome to come
okay,
and
great,
learn, of
great.
course.
And
So that includes the ADA, if you will, or the disability set up for seniors as they go into a home, because a lot of seniors are disabled, or stroke people in our case. I had to find how to set up my home for safety moving back in. Do you
Correct.
get into that at all?
I have an occupational therapist I would bring in and help them look at the space and say, is this going to work or is this not going to work? Do we need to find a new space or can we convert the space?
hmm. And Chris
Do
and
you have a halo?
yeah. Julie and Jason, tap into that a little bit. About, if Lorraine, if she lived near you, Julie and Jason, if she called you, I mean, well, how would you take that? Are you able to answer that question? Do you do that as physical therapy and occupational therapy to help them navigate a home?
Yes, absolutely. One of the jobs that I have currently is working with a neuro home and community company. And so when we go into the home, we're absolutely looking at the space. We're looking at the fall risk of, the client, and we're helping any caregivers that are in place to understand what are the steps needing to take to maximize that safety in the home and maximize the ability as well. So if we can move clutter out of the way to allow somebody in a wheelchair to be more independent, moving about their home. That's absolutely a part of it too.
Wow. Wow.
Do you take into consideration at all too the possibility of them having to do their therapy at home as well as in your facilities?
Yes, we try to create a space if that's what's needed to do the therapy, but depending on the kind of therapy. So when I'm in the home, I'm trying to utilize the natural space.
Right.
So whatever activities that they need or want to do on a day-to-day basis, that's what we're engaging in. And so we're just kind of using the natural space. We don't necessarily have to create a therapy corner or
Right,
anything like
right.
that. We're just using the natural
Well,
space.
yeah, because like mine, I have the bands is tied to the bottom of my stair rail, and I sit in a chair and do my band exercises.
Wow. S-
So yeah,
Jason, tap in a
that's
little bit.
consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a home care division with our office. So same kind of on the lines of Julie. We'll go into the home, we'll take a look at everything, we'll decide whether or not we need specifics in regards to grab bars, what needs to be adjusted, moved, and then we can work with whoever type of, if even if there needs to be a little construction done. We've done that before,
Oh,
worked with
wow.
like a contractor, somebody that the people in the home might know, and try to get the best space available for them, because that's the most important thing. How are they going to be comfortable at home? How are they going to actually be able to live there and feel good in their home? Because that's our safe space. A lot of people's safe space is their home. So,
Right.
trying to make it ideal for them is really, really important. So,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess that
That's so
question
true.
for Jason and Lorraine at the same time, maybe even Julie too. Does that include, and do you have a difficult time finding contractors, for example, to lower kitchen counters for a wheelchair-bound person? Those kind of things. Is it difficult to find that kind of help to adjust the home?
Yes and no. In like Bergen County and surrounding counties, I have a wonderful company that I deal with that is a contractor and will come in to do that. But it is hard to find good contractors, I will say that, and
Yeah.
especially people that would do a little job.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want to give the name of the contractor that do you feel comfortable sharing that with us?
You know,
Or,
I do, but let me look it up because she rebranded.
okay. No,
So,
and the truth, no, doesn't matter. I don't want to put you on the spot, but let me share with everybody. If everybody has some company that they, feel comfortable in sharing their information, and and let's put it out in the world. That's my
sure.
point. So I don't want to put you under pressure
No, I
on.
just want to get her
Yeah.
correct
Yeah,
name.
yeah. So
Just sent it to me the other day.
Is
Jason,
it
you wanted to tap in?
more, Jason and Julie, is it more prevalent to just use space as it is and make adjustments with the person than it is to change the space?
yeah, I would say that's probably the main goal that we do most of the time is just kind of, yeah, adjusting the space that they currently have and own. It's just probably the easiest way to do things. But if needed, we would try to, assist in every way that we can and help to try to adjust as necessary if there was need for any kind of like contractor to come in to adjust the home.
And it's big, right? I mean, when something
Yeah.
happens, I mean, you think life is difficult. I said that in the first show, and you really need to have a team of people around you to support you and to advocate for you, because it's just hard. But I was thinking, like, when you have something and your life has changed and you have to deal with these things, you really never think about the recovery or the where you're going to live, and having and the support that you have from you said a home care. I didn't realize that occupational and physical therapists had a home care division that went in and navigated all that important
Mhm.
stuff. And then Lorraine has a company that comes in and fixes it. I mean, wow, that's pretty impressive, that the way that um, we all support each other, and we're I mean, I'm very honored to have all of you here. Jason, I want to give you the opportunity to share how you got into the how you got on to be a physical therapist, and then I want to tap into Julie, because Julie, when I was researching you, and I didn't know this when I had booked you, when I Facebooked you, that you really do zero in on brain injuries. It's a lot of your work. So we're going to let Jason talk a little bit about, how you got on the career path that you're on. Because look at Lorraine, hers was like, I'm switching, so talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate this. It's wonderful so far. So a little bit of a different career path, I would say. I kind of stayed on the same career path so far and where I've been. But when I was younger, I really, played a lot of sports, did a lot of like activities, had my injuries, all of those kind of typical younger sports injuries. And I did some PT and really enjoyed it. And then as I was growing up, people were asking me, well, what do you want to do with your life? Where's your passion? What do you want to do? And I knew I wanted to do something in the medical field. And very interestingly, someone said, well, how about a physical therapy? And I was like, oh, maybe that sounds kind of interesting. So I went and shadowed a physical therapist. And I'm telling you, right after that one session with that one PT, I knew this is it. This is what I want to do.
Wow.
I saw so much progress in people. I just loved how just helping people was just awesome. And went to school, and here I am. I've been working for the same company now for 15 years.
Talk to us about the company.
Yeah, so I work for Paramus Orthopedic Physical Therapy. We have 4 offices in like northern New Jersey. We're the only office in Bergen County, so we're kind of right near Lorraine, which is great. And we're an outpatient orthopedic clinic. So we treat all diagnoses, but including definitely stroke. We see a lot of stroke patients. We have seen some TBI patients, things along those lines. We have pediatrics. We kind of run the gamut on everything. And it's truly, I love going to work. I really do.
That's so
Every
good.
day we see something new, see something different, and I truly enjoy, spending time with these patients and helping them get through, difficult times because, and I know Julie can speak to this too. There's a lot that goes on when people have injuries, strokes, things along those lines, and we kind of take them along this pathway. Not only in just the rehab sense, but the emotional, that emotional sense, really trying to build a connection with them to get them kind of the best outcomes. So that's kind of how my path has gone. And I've just loved every minute of it, to be honest with you.
It's funny that, you talk about, we talked about relationships on the last show, right? How important those are, because you got to build a trust between someone that's going to be helping you recover from something or buying a home, or finding a place
Mm-hmm.
to live. That's really important stuff. They're major stuff, So, it's pretty impressive how, you build a relationship with them. And, it's almost like, The Voice on TV or American Idol, right? They pick these performers to sing, but what do the coaches do for them? They give them inspiration, they give them hope, they constantly, talking about the great things they'll do and the great things that they'll be. And, it's along the same lines, you guys have to build a relationship with them. So I think it's wonderful, Jason.
Yeah.
Julie, talk to us a little about you have a lot going on, and I understand your world because I have a lot going on too. I was talking about it on the show that I've been separated or single woman for God, it's been over 30, I don't even know, for 25 years, whatever. And so I had to be the main support for my family. But then I had this singing career I loved, and I had a stroke, and I had a foundation, and so I have to two different hats I have to wear. So, and I'm kind of grasping that that's your world too. So talk to us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I'll start back with growing up, I was a dancer. And so I always loved expressive arts. I did theater for a while. And I was also always interested in what made people tick and why people do the things that they do. And so when I was in college, I received my bachelor's in psychology to understand that a bit more. And after college, finding occupational therapy. And, kind of like you, Jason, I had one conversation with an occupational therapist. I didn't even have to shadow them. And I knew it was the career for me. I was immediately hooked. And so I've been an occupational therapist for almost 12 years now. Loved every minute of it. Worked in a variety of settings: hospital, skilled nursing, outpatient, now home and community for the neuro population. And what I was noticing in my time, I spent a lot of my career doing outpatient neurological rehabilitation.
Hmm.
And I noticed that there was this bit of a disconnect between the work that we were doing in the clinic and the work that was or was not happening at home, and how that impacted their overall recovery. And it just came to this realization that, when you have a stroke or any kind of brain injury, maybe you get the benefit of going to inpatient rehab and you get almost daily rehab. Then you go home.
Oh, oh. We lost you for a second.
Care, that carryover falls a lot of times to a caregiver.
Yeah.
And so I decided in my path this year, I was, a little bit burnt out with the medical model of care. And so I was looking at other avenues of how can I re-energize myself within this field, within the healthcare and health model. And working with an OT business coach was very helpful, and really found this idea that creating a program for caregivers was going to be a new passion project of mine. So providing caregivers of loved ones after a brain injury the proper training, education, and support that they need, because they're all of a sudden brought into this new world that they know really nothing about because a loved one has this emergent event that occurs and a whole new role, right? The role of a caregiver that they never necessarily asked for. There's no manual for it. There's no training courses on how
Nope,
to be a
nope, nope.
caregiver for someone after a brain injury. And so I'm trying with my work to fill that gap a little bit and
Wow.
to work one-on-one with these caregivers, providing the necessary training that's individualized to them. Because I know there are incredible resources out there from in terms of, brain associations, they have wonderful courses and webinars, but I feel it needs to go a step further beyond that. They need individualized attention and creating a space where they can ask those questions and make mistakes, trial and error in order to master.
We lost her again. She's talking about something that always touches my heart is caregiving, because I mean, I'm sure you, Jason, and you, Lorraine, you have this person you're working with, the client, but then you have their families on, their caregivers. I mean, how do you navigate through that?
Powered by ballroom dance.
Julie, just so you know, you keep cutting out on us.
Oh, I do?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we just want you to know that we didn't hear everything you said.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. We just want you to make sure you knew that. But I was sharing with Jason and Lorraine, about the care, talking about the caregivers, and
Yeah.
it is new to them, and they don't have, a guide for that. So how do you all navigate that? Because I know in my world, when I had my stroke, my sister was like the medical brain. She would you got to do this, you got to do that. So how do you navigate around those caregivers? What information do you give to the caregivers? Julie, Lorraine, how do you deal with somebody that is a partner for somebody you're helping? And Jason, how do you deal with the caregivers? Julie, you go first.
So for me, it's really having the conversation of what are they struggling with? Because everyone is very much an individual. And so for some of my caregivers, it's really navigating more of what are some communication strategies to help my loved one who's dealing with frontal lobe damage and therefore, impulsivity, aggression, agitation. For others, it's more of, sensory motor deficits that they really want to help them in their home exercise programs, but they don't know how to best help. And so maybe providing more of that one-on-one training for the caregiver of, how to protect the arm, but also optimize movement and sensory motor recovery. So it's very individualized.
Wow.
I have a quick question. There must have been a case or a patient and their family that triggered all of this. I'm curious what triggered this initiative of yours, and I admire it.
Well, it wasn't actually one person, but when I thought about where the need was, a few patients came to mind in my work doing outpatient neurological rehabilitation, where I saw such incredible potential for the client. And we would do great work in our 1 hour session 1 or 2 times a week, and then they would come back to me the week after and I would ask, okay, what did you do in the week? And they go, nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, why is that? I didn't have anyone to help me, or my spouse doesn't really understand how. And it's not anything against the spouse. There's a lot going on, and I totally understand, your world is crazy right now.
Yeah.
But if there was a way to give them the proper training so they feel more confident, more competent in that role, that's where I wanted to help.
That's very interesting.
I like that.
Julie, we have to have you back on the show to really zero in on the caregiving, and give some tools to help bridge that gap, because I know that's a passion of yours. So Lorraine, how do you navigate around,
Or with caregivers, yeah.
Yeah, with the caregivers, because somebody may be, can't walk or can't, and maybe their partner who has. So, is there anything that you navigate with that?
Well, it all depends. I really deal with the care, with who's giving the care, and
Okay,
helping them select. Is my is to get out and to know the different organizations and the different therapists and occupational therapists, and who's really going to help educate that person,
right,
because not everyone does the same thing.
right,
It's
right,
really up for them to educate the caregiver as to, I don't have that training, but it's
right,
a matter of knowing who to reach out to and ask for help. And it's also a matter of working with the seniors before something happens. And sorry, I have a
Yeah.
cough drop because I'm
that's
recovering
okay,
from it.
that's
But
okay.
to make a plan and know
Yeah,
what their plans are, so that then their caregiver can honor those wishes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
do they want to stay at home? Would they rather be in a different environment? Do they want 24-hour care? Do they want just someone coming in? There's a lot of different questions that need to be answered.
yeah.
And it's, if they make that plan ahead of time, it's a lot of less stress for the caregiver. Then they know they're doing what that person wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. You remind me very much of a dear friend of mine who passed away. I think passed away from COVID. Her name was Tracy Lawrence. She used to
I
run
know her very well.
Grand
And
Family Planning
hmm
and carrying on her legacy to help people have that difficult conversation before you get into a situation that you don't know what they desire. You don't want to make those decisions for people. She was a really good friend. She started me on a good path, you know. So I miss Tracy. But Jason, so tap into, how you deal with the caregiver, Julie said that there's some disconnect. I mean, do you find that as well with your clients?
Sometimes we definitely do. One thing that I try to do when a patient comes into the clinic, because obviously most of the time they're coming with somebody's taking them to their appointment. So I involve them. I actually find it kind of fun to have the caregiver come sit in the back with us, and do the exercises with us. This way, they can implement this stuff at home for the patient, to, maybe connect on a different level with each other. Because something like, kind of like what Julie said, sometimes they just don't know what to do. They're just like, this whole
Mm,
event occurred, and now they're just like, have no clue on how to help or do something. So even these little tools are really beneficial for both parties, for both the person who may have had the stroke and then the caregiver. It kind of works wonderful hand in hand, to really build a deeper connection with the two of them, because that sometimes will just transfer over and help them progress even faster than we had even thought before, which is great.
right. That's so true. Ralph, who was your caregiver when you had your stroke? You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute, Ralph. Oh,
Me, I
oh,
was alone. I
wow.
had my stroke alone. My daughter came out for the hospital stay, and I moved there a month later, to live with her family. But and then they left in 6 months and transferred to Arizona. So I was alone for six years.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
mine. I had to do a lot of self advocating. I had to do a lot of, you know, self motivation, those kind of things. But I was lucky enough to get a home care service, through the organization I was involved in at the time. But I have to tell you that both Julie and Jason, that after 6.5 years, I guess I'll form it in a question. There's a transition and transformations that have to happen. And my stroke was 9 years ago, and it was, here's the checklist, here's the protocol, here's the exercise, here's the meds. We're done with that. We lost Julie. Oh, there she
He's
is.
on.
Here's the protocols. But you guys have gone past that. And I think what happened for me, for example, is, and I'm long-winded here, I'm sorry, but I didn't know about an AFO until 7 years.
What's AFO? What's
Ankle
AFO?
foot orthotic.
What is it?
An ankle foot orthotic.
Oh, okay.
And nobody told me in all my physical therapy about an AFO.
Wow.
6 months later, I was off my cane. You know, what would my treatment have been like prior to that? And I know, Julie, from your Instagram and Facebook, which I've asked for you to follow, is you talk about those kind of things, about you've had the experience. What have you seen in the growth to get us more information? Because for me, it was a lack of information for 7 years. I now work full-time, 2 jobs plus the radio station, and I exercise. I go to the gym and everything now, you know. So how have you seen it all change in the last several years of your guys' experience?
Well, I think information is certainly much easier to come by if you know where to look. So the hard part is knowing where to look.
Yeah.
And
And
yes,
trusting where you're getting it from. And trusting
yes.
it. Trusting
Yes, exactly. So, you know, new treatments and interventions coming out all the time, but are they backed by research? Are they backed by, you know, clinical trials, and or is it just, you know, case studies? And so, yeah, you want to be careful with the information that you're getting. And always, I tell everyone that I work with, you know, I'll always talk with your doctor if there's something new that you want to explore. Always talk to your doctor, always talk to your primary therapist, and let's make sure that it's going to be appropriate for you. And but I found, in terms of education and information that I'm trying to provide, I'm trying to do it, you know, little bits at a time, because I find that in this process, after you have a stroke, you're given a lot of information. If you're in the hospital, but it's usually here's a binder, here's a whole folder of pamphlets that you will probably never read. And same with the caregiver. The caregiver's there trying to go through it and going, I don't have time to read this. I don't understand half of this. And then you go home and that folder gets put away somewhere and never looked at again.
Right.
So in my attempt to provide some information and education, I'm trying to do it, you know, topic by topic of what is of interest to you. And let's kind of hone in on that, and let's talk through it so you really understand better what that means.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. And I'm sure Ralph does too, because it used to, when I first onset of my stroke, like when too much information was coming, I just put a wall up. I didn't like just put a wall up and just couldn't. Not that I didn't want to, but I couldn't focus.
Right. We have the capacity to take in a certain amount of information. And when you are going through an emergent situation like a brain injury, that capacity is dropped, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we can't even take in the information like we once did. And now we're being bombarded with all of this new information. And yeah, it's too much. It's too much to take in at once.
It's crazy.
From what I've read about both of you is that one of the things that you're doing is you're involving your patients in the process. In other words, when and from the looks of the research I've done on you both, your assessment is not toe to toe, and that's it. You know, it's not up and down in the chair and that's it. It's sitting down, and this is so impressive of the new kids coming out. They may not know what they're doing, but they do sit down and say, what are your goals? What do you want to do again? You know, my first therapist, you know, I was a contractor before. She said, what do you want to do? I says, I want to be able to climb on a ladder and do work again. She brought a ladder into work so that we can practice on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we went out and threw balls against the wall because I was involved in sports. So yeah, how important has that become, and how do you encourage your patients to ask more questions because they're so afraid to ask anything?
Let's let Jason tap into
Yeah.
your question that you asked prior to Julie answered. And then I want to give Lorraine an opportunity to tap because there is a tie into
Yeah.
all our worlds. Because like I said initially, when you have a life-threatening situation or life-changing situation, I should say, we do all need that that tool belt around us to be successfully recover and to successfully go on with life. And Julie plays a part of that with her her, what I'm understanding is it's bigger than just, your real estate and you're helping seniors, but you're really delving into supporting them in an advocacy way. So and the fact that you knew Tracy really touches my heart. So I'm going to let Jason tap into, what did you say, the AFO, and that he was
Well,
talking about?
the team concept. I mean, to me, the patient is the captain of his own team. So you have to be a team with your OT. I didn't know I needed handwriting adjustment until a year after my stroke, until my daughter recognized my handwriting was off. I mean, how do you become that involved with your patients and get them to do the same?
I mean, it's an excellent question, and it makes it's something that we do every day. That collaborative effort between OT, PT, speech, your neurologist, your primary care. If you have a good team, you are 100% set up. But some of the difficulty is trying to find that team. That is really can be extremely difficult. And Ralph, you kind of, said that just in your experience, you didn't really have that team for you. And one of the things that, like you said, we try to do a kind of overall full body view. We're looking at everything, your emotional component, all those components put together. And, I like to sometimes help take the lead on that for the patient, working together with the patient, but like to take that lead and help build that relationships with everybody, make sure that I'm reaching out to them to know that they can connect with me, vice versa. Because sometimes other healthcare providers may not do so. But I think that's a miss for the patients. It really needs to be a full collaborative effort, because if it's not, you'll lose out on things like an AFO, things along those lines, which shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Those are like really important things for functionality and for your life,
Yeah.
And I think, like you had mentioned, Ralph, about your goals, that's most important. I could get you back to running, but if you don't like running, why would I, focus on running for you? That doesn't benefit you or me. It only, so focusing on what are your goals? What do you want to get back to? Bringing the ladder in like they did, which is amazing. That is exactly what should happen every single time for every single person, in the home with our home care, kind of like with Julie, making sure like, hey, I want to go up my stairs because I want to sleep in my own bed. That's really important for people. So if that's the goal, that is one thing that will be top priority, to make sure that we get the strength where it needs to be, adapt the home to where it needs to be, all of these types of things. And, it's really, really important. So if you can find that, it just makes the world of difference and really can enhance, where you'll be,
Yeah.
Wow. And let's let Lorraine tap in, because, as Ralph said, Ralph didn't have any care, right? So what Lorraine's world and the advocacy that she's starting to build is to set people up for when something does occur. So tap into that a little bit, Lorraine. Talk to us about that.
Okay. Well, I'm just getting inspired by listening to everyone here. It's making me think that for my adult
Me
children and
too.
baby parents, and also my senior seminars, maybe we need to do a hand-on. How do you support, as a caregiver, how do you support someone else that you're living with? And I know it has to be general because everyone's different, but maybe some little hands-on tips may be a good thing there.
Yeah.
Because this is a very timely topic, because last year at the conference back in October of other senior real estate professionals, we had a panel of people that had just moved. of seniors that had just moved into different living environments. And the one thing one of them brought up and said, you cannot be a senior real estate specialist unless you have an occupation or a physical therapist in your back pocket. They should always be with you when you're looking at a new living situation.
Wow.
And that's what the seniors were asking for. They were telling us, you
Wow.
want to do your job,
Nice.
this is what you have to do to serve us. And I thought that was so interesting.
Impressive.
Yeah.
And it goes further than just a senior, right? It goes to, those with health challenges, right?
Yes.
Those that has disabilities or something. That's really what we look for when we're looking for somebody that's going to really care and really zero in on our needs. And really, you're gonna, I'm positive about, Julie, Jason, and Lorraine and Ralph as well, is when you're dealing with somebody, you're learning about them before you make any analysis as to how to help them, because each person is different. When I was hit by a car in Valley Hospital right here in Ridgewood, New Jersey, when I was going to see my grandmother, she had a heart attack, and it was a day after my first telethon. And when I was in recovery for it, the gentleman that helped me had worked in Kessler, which is a stroke rehab in New Jersey. And he actually helped me in a different way than everybody else was able to help me, because he already knew the techniques and he knew what to look for, because I had suffered a stroke. So, and the truth is, and this is I don't want everybody to follow this, but when I had my surgery on my knee, it was better for me to wear heels than not to wear heels, because every time my knee would buckle every time I'd walk. So with heels, it didn't buckle that much, and it was less pressure on the knee, which is really very interesting that they had to learn how to navigate around me. So I love that about each one of you, that you really get to know your patients and really have an interest in your patients so much,
Well, I think one of the things that everybody thinks holistic is this woo-hoo thing. Holistic is a whole person thing.
Yes.
That needs to be done in the medical profession and the real estate profession and all the people we deal with. It's not just, a protocol. It's not just checking off a list. It's becoming involved as people. And that saved my recovery at 7 years. I got a speech therapist. I got off the AFO. I could run on a treadmill. That participatory relationship is something that, unfortunately, as a stroke survivor in the beginning, I was so damn angry about having a stroke, I never asked any questions. I just followed the checklist.
Yeah.
So it's impressive that you guys have taken it the next step and asked those important questions. What do you want to do? What are your goals? How are we going to accomplish that? And I love that about what you guys do. I've been following Julie forever on Facebook and Instagram, so I know what she's done, and that's impressive as well. I mean, whoever thought an occupational therapist would need to talk to a caregiver? That's incredible.
Yeah.
We've got to all start thinking outside the box, including the stroke survivors, which to me, stroke survivors make a choice to become stroke warriors. And you guys are making that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. But how, from Lorraine's, her input, Julie and Jason, like, I guess once when a client comes in, I guess, they're fragile, right? They're fragile, 'cause they're like Ralph, why did this happen to me? Why, even if it's a sports player and they're doing their knee, or somebody that has a stroke, or, it's, you guys have to play therapist a little bit, and is that part of your education? Do you get taught that during your education? I'm curious. Julie?
For occupational therapy, there absolutely is a component of that, because occupational therapy is, like you said, Ralph, it's so holistic. we are taught to really look at the whole person, and that includes their mental state, their emotional state, their dreams, their desires, everything, and really incorporate that into the therapy session. So there is a bit of that, but it really is more on the job learning, you because it's all theoretical.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
When you're going through school, it's all theoretical. And until you really get in front of the person and you go, oh, okay, this is what's happening. How am I going to guide them through this to the other side so we can really, make therapy as effective as possible? So it's a little bit of both for occupational therapy, but I would say more so on the job, just years of learning and finding those moments that you can really tap into who they are, what's going to motivate them, and let that drive the session.
Wow. Jason.
Oh, and it helps you. You all three have personalities too, so that kind of helps.
Yes, yes. You all have wonderful personalities. Jason, how about, and you have passion for what you do,
Yeah.
which is more important than having a personality, has passion for helping people and helping, get through things. And that's such a gift. It's a gift in life. Jason, talk to us about your navigating with I forgot what I was talking about. Jason.
He remembers.
Yeah. It's kind of the same, like what Julie said. So we learn about it in school, we go through it, but there is no real understanding until you're sitting in front of a patient and they say certain things to you and you're like, wow, okay, there's a lot more behind this than, them having a stroke or they, hurt their knee. There's a ton more emotions behind what is going on, and pain has a big pathway to, our emotions. And it's really important to understand that, to provide resonance, to really give them emotional support, because when you give that unlocks so much opportunity for both myself and for them to heal, to, make those gains. And if we don't build that strong rapport in the beginning on like my initial evaluation, it makes it more difficult. So a lot of times, sometimes my initial evaluations are building that rapport, making sure that they understand me, I understand them, that they feel listened to. That's really important. A lot of times people aren't listened to. They're just, shaken off at other providers. And, just listening to someone makes the world a difference. It really, truly does. Everyone wants to be listened to. And, if you can listen and then reiterate what they said to you with understanding, it just builds this huge rapport. And from there, you have a great relationship that you can kind of move forward with. And that's kind of our basis of our, like, how we work at our clinics. So it's really important.
Yeah. And that's, and what I love about all three of you and Ralph as well, but Ralph and I have more,
Practical experience.
No, I was going to say the presentation in Jason, Lorraine, and Julie is more like very tranquil, very, you can't get too excited because you have to, help to build the person to be successful. Where Ralph and I are like, because, we're excited about life, although you guys are too. To me, in my world, what I wanted to say was that helps me to build trust, that the way that you present yourself to your clients. I think it's really important, to because it's not like a right away built thing. It's a long-term, relationship with them. So I really think it's important. It's 11, which is I guess it's a great number, but I wanted to take this opportunity to close out and let everybody have their last moments. I told you it would go fast. It go because we're talking about some stuff that we're really passionate about. So I hope you'll all come back. If you have any topics that you want to specifically share, if you that you want to know to the world, please let me know, and we'll zero in on the show. But I want to give you all the opportunity to what's 2025? What's your goals to help people in 2025? Jason, I'm gonna let you go first. No, let's let Lorraine go first. Lorraine, can you go first?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show.
Oh my God,
Wonderful
thank
meeting
you.
everyone, even though it was virtually, but it was a great show.
Yeah.
My goal is just to help more people. I want to triple the number of people I'm helping right now.
So we can help you with that. We're connected now. So let us know, and maybe Julie can help you. I'm sure Jason and you are connected already, but I'm sure Julie can help you with, the goals that you want to set, because you understood that you need hands-on help with the caregivers.
Yes. Look forward to connecting.
Okay. Jason, go next.
So the same thing with Lorraine, the goal is to just really help people as best as we can, kind of build, these frameworks for them. I think would be an ultimate goal, which would be wonderful for all people listening, and to kind of maybe be like, hey, I'm going to go and try to find my occupational therapist, my, PT, speech, etc., and build my kind of collaborative team, for example. I think that would be great if a lot of patients, or people listening today would be able to do that. I think that would be an awesome goal for them, a really cool goal for all of us here. And I think that would be wonderful. So I hope that a lot of people can do so and then really enhance their lives for 2025, to be honest with you.
Wow. And I'm going to let Lorraine, because I know she was coughing a little bit, but where can they reach you? What give you the name of your physical therapist location that you work at?
Absolutely. It's Paramus Orthopedic Physical Therapy. So once again, we have 4 offices. We have a website, and, can reach out for anything at all. Or we have a home care division, anything along those lines. Please reach out. Even if it's just a question, I'm more than happy to help with just a question, to even if it's to guide somebody in the right direction, then, my work is done. That's great. I love to do that.
And you got to build a relationship before things happen. So reach
Exactly.
out, go toward the location, and if anything happens, you don't have to do your pre-work. It's done already,
Yeah.
So that's the great thing. Lorraine, do you want to give your contact information and your
Sure.
information?
Thank you. I think the easiest is just to give everyone my cell number. I have 3 different companies. I have the adult children, I have the seniors, I have my regular real estate. But I think just give me a call with even just a question, or you need a resource for something. I'm happy to help. My cell is 201-925-0957. I'd love to connect you with anyone you need.
Thank you, Lorraine. Julie, we're going to have you back, and everybody's welcome to come back as well, but we want to have you back as a caregiver topic, because that's really important. I really, another thing that I really want to tap into, and this has always been a passion of mine, is connecting the how-to from physical therapy, occupational therapy, caregivers, to the stroke patient, that sometimes they don't understand what they need to do to survive and get. So how do you build that bridge? Just something to think about, because when I was an advocate for an ambassador for stroke patients in hospitals, and I was talking to them, sometimes they didn't get what we were saying to them, and how could you do something if you don't understand why you have to do it? So it's just something to mull around in your brains a little bit, and maybe we'll bring it back to conversation. But we do want to talk about caregiving with you. So please give where they can find you, where everybody, your information.
Sure. So you can find me, my Facebook, it's Julie OT Living is a good way to get in contact with me. I also have my own Facebook group, Caregiving Through a Therapeutic Lens, which anyone is welcome to come and join me on that journey. We're really trying to be, education focused with it. Or you can always email me, julieotliving@gmail.com. That's a great way to just get in touch with me one-on-one. Any questions, I welcome it. Just get curious. There's so many different ways that you can enhance your identity, your role as a caregiver and your confidence within that role. And so I please, welcome any and all questions and reach out if you need me.
And what's your vision for 2025 for everybody?
Similarly, just enhancing that broader network to reach more people, to help more people, to have better understanding out there of what is out there, what's available. And so really just enhancing that network within this new year.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Ralph, you have a final comments?
Yeah, I guess for my 2025 is, we do interviews and stuff like that, but we also are sharing other podcasters' audios on the radio station. They can listen 24 hours a day through Stroke Radio, warriorradio.com, or ask Alexa to open strokewarriorradio.com or Stroke Warrior Radio. And I'd love to talk to anybody, 458-256-9848, and set up an interview and talk to you guys too. And have a great, happy, healthy, and prosperous new year.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you. Ralph is co-hosting in February's show as well, so we're very excited about it. Thank you, everybody. It really was a wonderful conversation. And I know that Sunday mornings to give of your time is really a gift. So we want to say thank you to you for gifting us. And we hope that, 2025 brings, your desires and your intentions to really help people. And we're blessed to have, you in the world because you're making a difference. We really want to thank you so much. So we're going to close out. Sometimes I forget we're Facebook Live and I'm talking to the panel here and I'm forgetting that we're streaming live to the world, and we're going to be streaming on Ralph's radio station in a week or so. So please tune in to RenéMarie's Language of Love.org. That's our foundation's website, or you can look at YouTube, which is RenéMarie 777, or you can find me anywhere. I don't know. I'm all over the place. So thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Lorraine. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Have a stroke of luck in your life and have a wonderful 2025. See you soon. On 3, we always blow kisses, which we forgot to do the first show. On 3, we always blow kisses. 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo, yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti, no me puedes oír llorar. El día que caminaste por la puerta, todas las memorias fueron. Mi corazón está vacío, como si tuviera ayer. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti.